Coming up on Eyewitness News, a Baton Rouge man was shot and killed last night. Southern University law students get revenge on the Louisiana bar exam. And the hunger strike is over in Northern Ireland. Eyewitness News is next.
Gotta keep those Sunkist vibrations happening with you. Good vibrations. Sunkist orange soda taste sensation. Follow the orange jubilation. Sunkist giving out good vibrations.
Live from the sky, only on TV-2. The scoreboard segment of Eyewitness News is brought to you by Ardan in the Broadmoor Village Shopping Center next to Broadmoor Theater.
From the people you can count on, this is the 6 p.m. edition of TV2's Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Michael Marsh. An afternoon argument between neighbors ended in the shooting death of a Baton Rouge man on East Boulevard last night. Baton Rouge City Police say the victim is Michael A. Wilson of 1223 East Boulevard. Officers say Wilson walked out of his house at about 8 o'clock. His family heard 3 shots and Wilson staggered back inside and dropped dead on the living room floor. Arrested for second-degree murder is Benson Kroon of 1338 East Boulevard. Officials say Kroon apparently laid in waiting for Wilson and shot him in the neck, chest, and back. Kroon was arrested shortly after midnight last night. A 28-year-old Baker man lost his life early this morning in a motorcycle accident on the West Bank near Port Allen. State police say Robert Allen Jr. was traveling south on Louisiana Highway 1 just north of the Intercoastal Canal when he failed to make a curve and he hit a highway stop sign. He was thrown from his motorcycle and police say he was dead at the scene. Things are suddenly looking much better at Southern University's law school. The 1981 graduates did much better on the state bar exam than any previous class. Kurt Lee reports.
Southern University's 1981 graduates did surprisingly well on the state bar exam. 48% passed this time around. That's 34 out of 77, compared to just 29% a year ago. Law School Dean B.K. Agnihotri says the school's reputation is improving. Do you think the image of Southern's law school is improving?
Yeah, sure, it's improving. I think what the people who are in the legal education field, they know what we are doing.
Agnihotri said the better scores came after an intensive workshop this summer for all graduates. The dean says he now expects more applications. Do you think demand to get into Southern's law school will increase?
Sure, it will increase. Sure. I can see that.
1,000 applicants last time. How many do you think there might be?
Oh, maybe 2,000?
Southern's graduates still pass at a far lower rate than those of other colleges. But Agnihotri says the latest results are encouraging, and the dean says there is good reason to expect further improvements. Kurt Lee, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
A man who's posing as a New Orleans police undercover officer has been accused of sexually assaulting at least 4 women in the New Orleans area. Police say the man has approached his victims, shown what looks like an ID card, handcuffs them, and then orders them into his car. The imposter then makes his victims drink some sort of liquid that knocks them out, and then assaults his victims while they're asleep. Police say more women could have been attacked but haven't come forward because the imposter chooses what are known as street people, and they might be reluctant to complain to police. Banks and savings and loans across the country were not doing bankers' hours today, and here in Baton Rouge, as well as most other cities, buyers were lining up for their last chance to buy all Savers certificates before the interest they earn goes down on Monday. The special certificates earn 17.34% interest for those who put down as little as $500, and that interest money is tax-free. Monday, the rate falls to 12.14%. At least one bank, New Jersey's American Bank and Trust, will be open on Sunday. So far, no Baton Rouge banks have announced any such plans. Well, just like East Baton Rouge Parish, Orleans Parish has to comply with a court order to relieve overcrowding in jails. So today, Orleans Parish Sheriff Charles Fody shuffled about 200 prisoners among several jails to comply with the order. Yesterday, federal judge Frank Polazoa placed a cap on the number of prisoners the jails can accommodate. Fody says no inmates have been released to make room for others, but it might become necessary later. Judge Polazoa blamed public officials for a lack of cooperation and said Orleans Parish has openly and deliberately violated court orders. Still ahead as Eyewitness News continues, the proposed sale of radar planes to the Saudi Arabians. Looks like it's going to be for a stumbling block. And Del Moon says the movie So Fine is not so fine.
Everybody thinking chicken? Chicken! You know, if we just concentrate on doing chicken the way the Colonel taught us, people are not gonna like us. No, they're gonna love us. Yeah! And you're especially gonna love this.
The Super Meal Deal. 2 pieces of chicken, corn on the cob, potatoes and gravy, and a roll, $1.99 in Baton Rouge, Baker, Denham Springs, Gonzales, Ammonay Beach, Ponchatoula, Morgan City, and the Lafayette area.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right.
Wake up to Parade in the Sunday Advocate, and wake up to politicians and rock musicians, playful pups and lots of yucks, sexy singers and famous drinkers, apes and men and swinging tins. They're all a part of the parade of great reading in the Sunday Advocate. Here's what's coming up this Sunday. Ronald Reagan makes friends with Mexico. How has he done it? The national champion touch football team. Dick Schaap looks at the team that found love. And meet the new Prince Charming, Andrew, bachelor brother of Britain's Prince Charles. It's all in Parade this Sunday when you wake up to the Advocate.
President Reagan's plan to sell those sophisticated AWACS radar planes to Saudi Arabia appears to be in more trouble. Today, the Saudi Arabian government says it is against any partnership or sharing of those planes with the United States. It appears to be a rejection of Washington's desire to have U.S. crewmen aboard those planes. More from Mike Von Frem.
After Secretary of State Alexander Haig met with Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Saud, the State Department announced that U.S. assistance on operating the AWACS planes would be necessary well into the 1990s because of a shortage of Saudi air crews and technicians. But these claims are at odds with Department of Defense estimates that Saudi crews can be fully trained to operate these planes in much less than 10 years. To make matters worse for the administration, the official Saudi news agency today flatly rejected any partnership with the United States concerning the planes. The Saudis will agree to operate the planes within their own borders and to share the surveillance information with the United States, but the overall Saudi message, once again, is the U.S. must keep its hands off the controls. It seems certain that if the Saudis stick to that position, the Senate will block the AWACS package. The administration has privately indicated that if that happens, it might go to the courts to challenge Congress's constitutional powers to approve or disapprove weapons sales. Mike Von Frem, ABC News, the White House.
The hunger strikes in Northern Ireland are now over. The Irish Republican Army has called off its strike at the Maze prison after 7 months of fasting by IRA members. 10 members died in the fasting. Relatives of those still living revolted in the streets, and now the IRA is accusing the Catholic Church of betrayal. A Catholic priest was able to talk relatives of those fasting into intervening, and they persuaded the strikers to call off their fast. The hunger strikes began in March when IRA member Bobby Sands tried to force the British government into granting political prisoner status to inmates. In the third presidential election since Iran's revolution, the people of Iran have elected an Islamic hardliner. He's the first clergyman head of state for Iran. Ali Khamenei trounced token opposition in that election, and as the votes were being tallied, another 30 people opposed to Iran's government and rule of the Ayatollah Khomeini were executed. There was also reported fighting between revolutionary police and leftist opponents in Tehran. Well, more than just illegal aliens are crossing the border from Mexico into California. Reporter Joe McMahon says cheap diesel is now being illegally trucked in from our southern neighbor.
And investigating reports, Mexican truckers have been smuggling hundreds of thousands of gallons of diesel oil into the United States. The truckers fill up their tractor rigs in Tijuana, paying 17 cents a liter for diesel oil. Then they drive to any one of several American oil dealers who pump it out of the truck's tanks and buy the fuel at 40 cents a liter. The oil is then sold to a refiner who in turn sells it to large diesel oil consumers such as contractors and independent truckers. At this site, an estimated 1,000 gallons of diesel fuel was unloaded by these 3 trucks. The oil company operator attacked our photographer because she said we were scaring off business.
We're going, hey, oh, all right, we're leaving. We're leaving. Hold it. I got it.
Can't you see what you've done to these people? They don't like cameras.
The Mexican truckers left in a hurry because Mexican law forbids any more than a tank full of diesel oil for use in a personal vehicle to be taken out of the country. If Mexican police learned the truckers' identities, they could be fined and their trucks seized. American investigators are also trying to determine if duty is being paid on the oil, which they say is being sold in commercial quantities. They are also looking into allegations trucks stolen in California are being used to transport the oil between Mexico and the U.S. There is also a report at least one American refinery is under police investigation. For ABC News, I'm Joe McMahon at the international border in San Diego.
Yamaha's Tri-Moto 125 and spanking new 175 have the kind of two-stroke power and torque that'll take you any place you want to go. They'll go through the desert, they'll go through the swamp, they'll go through the mountains, and the mud, and the muck, and the mire. They'll even go some places you don't want to go, like back to work on Monday morning.
Well, is the movie so fine? Our entertainment editor, Del Moon, says yes and no.
The film is so fine. A screwball comedy set around the New York garment industry. First off, let me say I'm not a big fan of Ryan O'Neal's, and his role in So Fine doesn't do anything to improve that. In fact, he doesn't even fit the part ethnically. But there is one other critical problem that keeps me from recommending an otherwise funny film.
Young Bobby Fine here doesn't know a stitch about fashion, but when Daddy Jack Warden can't pay back his 7'2" loan shark, Richard Keel of Bond movie fame, number one son has no choice but to give up teaching English and take over the family fashion business. Not to worry, though. Fate smiles on Bobby when he splits his jeans.
You're Jack Fine's boy, right? Listen, I got to apologize. Oh, that's okay. I know you met a lot of new people yesterday. I'm Dick Litterhouse of Polite Fashion.
No, I mean
St. Paul.
the pants.
They're sensational. Unbelievable. Since when is your dad selling jeans?
The new line of bare-bottom designer jeans bails out the business, but the plot thickens when Big Eddie discovers O'Neill has been with his wife and comes looking for him. The opera scene at the end fondly recalls the Marx Brothers, but alas, it's too much, too late. In hindsight, though, the movie did have its moments.
The main problem, though, is sluggish direction. It just isn't tight enough to fit the zany physical comedy that makes this film work in the first place. I was either too far ahead or behind to be comfortable. In other words, it just didn't flesh out the way it should have. But I'll turn the other cheek and give So Fine my half-moon rating.
Who needs fads anyway? I'm Del Moon with 2 for the show.
I don't know if I like the pants on him, but I like them on the other subjects in the movie.
He always gets to the bottom of things.
He sure does. Or behind things, or whatever.
Let's put that behind us.
Go right ahead.
Enough of that stuff. The weather looks great. We got a beautiful weekend in store. Let's take a look at the GO satellite picture. You can see how clear things are here in Louisiana. Absolutely beautiful. And take a look over there to our west, over in the Houston area. Believe it or not, they have a little bit different story. Just to the northwest of Houston, that's a computer-enhanced photograph, and as you can see, the computer-enhanced these little squares right there. Some pretty heavy thunderstorms in effect just in that one area right there. They're drifting off that way. Nothing for us to worry about here. As you can see, nothing but clear skies out in the Gulf of Mexico, and we don't have any changes headed our way. Tropical weather picture real quickly. There is a disturbance we need to mention. 650 miles off on the east side of the Leeward Islands, moving toward the west 15 miles an hour. We'll keep our eyes on that. It's worth mentioning, but just barely. National map looks pretty good for tomorrow. Very little in the way of rain expected just across the northern part of the country. 55 degrees the expected high tomorrow in Minneapolis-St. Paul as a cold front comes through. That could be bringing a little bit of rain, but not much. Chicago tomorrow looking for 69 degrees before the front comes on through. The eastern part of the country was really cold today. Chicago, a record low this morning, 29 degrees. Atlanta hit 40 degrees for a record low. All the way down in Tallahassee this morning, they had 42 degrees. That was a record low, broke their old record by 6 degrees. That high that brought in those cool temperatures now off the East Coast. And for us, that means warm temperatures because we'll be getting southerly winds, and that means things will warm up tomorrow to 85. Our high today was only 81. By Monday, back up close to 90, but not quite that far. 64 up in New York tomorrow. It's going to be nice there. The west looks okay. No zeros expected. 88 degrees in Phoenix tomorrow. And 76 degrees in Los Angeles, and for the most part, clear skies out there. Warren radar out of Lake Charles, we can see a little bit of activity off towards Texas. Out there near Houston, they have those showers. Otherwise, nothing going on. On our radar, crystal clear, and around the state, fair skies going to continue through the weekend. It looks great for football, baseball, anything you want to do. 79 degrees right now in Baton Rouge, 79 in New Orleans. The hot spot today, believe it or not, was Lake Charles. They had 84 degrees. Nobody got any warmer than that. Area temperatures in the 80s, or I should say in the 70s now, dropping out of the 80s across the area. As you can see, Morgan City and all the other places, right around 79 degrees. Coastal forecast looks okay for tomorrow. Winds will be out of the south and southeast, 10 to 15. A little bit stronger in the vicinity of Lake Charles. Winds seas 2 to 5 feet. Just some widely scattered showers near the tides at Barataria Pass. Our forecast calling for fair and warm through the weekend. Our low tonight will be down to 60 degrees, but then Sunday night the low will be 70 degrees. Our high Sunday 85 once again. Our extended forecast, partly cloudy on Monday up to 88 degrees, then scattered showers Tuesday and Wednesday up in the mid-80s, 86, 87 degrees, and lows around 68 degrees. And finally, Jim Menard's fishing game forecast, get outside early if you want to do any fishing. 5:30 in the morning tomorrow. It hits a peak up there at excellent, but after that, barely into the good category at 1. And look at that peak in the evening. That's about the worst I've seen. No fishing in the evening, I'm afraid.
Yeah, at least fall has finally arrived again.
Fall has gotten here.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Well, racing buffs usually appreciate sleek form and streamlined looks, not to mention grace and a lot of speed. But to a whole lot of people on a sunny weekend afternoon, none of that seemed to matter.
About 5,000 people and 200 ducks showed up for the first annual Southeastern Duck Races in Chattanooga. They would have had it last weekend, but it got rained out.
And so this is what happens on a nice weekend when all these people and all those ducks decide they have more in common than they thought.
Macho duck. Oh, he is a manly sensation.
This is Ethel, and she just won the best dressed duck today.
Macho duck. He's a macho duck.
You let that duck loose when I tell you to go. On your mark, get set, go.
It is natural for a duck to fly, not run. It's just as natural for a man to run, not waddle. Everyone was out of their habitat and thoroughly confused, but enjoying it all the same. Except, of course, those allergic to duck feathers. This was a place you could buy just about anything related to ducks.
Duck souvenirs.
Including the real thing. But if you didn't feel like buying a duck...
This is a budget winner duck.
Macho duck. The slinkest bird in the nation. Macho duck. Oh, the duck loose. Macho duck.
And so, you've just seen what happens on a nice day when 5,000 people and 200 ducks decide they really have nothing in common at all.
John Franck reporting.
If you bought anything like this recently, you probably paid too much, unless you shopped Ardan. If you bought some teakwood, crystal, a clock, stoneware, silver, china, anything, you could have probably found it here for less. Ardan, across the board, the top of the line, probably the lowest everyday prices around. Next time, remember, it probably costs less at Ardan.
Well, the LSU Tigers have a big task on their hands. They're going to have to take on the Florida Gators at Tiger Stadium. Bruce Weber's out there right now. Bruce, what's it look like for LSU's chances this evening?
Well, Michael, right now, as you can tell behind me, there are some people starting to pour into Tiger Stadium. The excitement is starting to mount. Of course, tonight's ball game, a very important game for both the LSU Tigers and Florida Gators because it is a Southeastern Conference game. Yesterday, the Florida Gators came into town a day early to work out. I caught up with Coach Charlie Pill, and he, too, agrees. This is a very big game.
For honor and glory.
Well, that's true. Both of us have one loss in the conference, and I don't consider this thing tomorrow night the conference thing. We're doing it for our team. We want to play a good football game for our team. We need it. We need a good game. Our players need to have a good game, and that's so important. That's so much more important. And if those things fall in place, then the conference thing take care of itself.
Now, of course, tonight, when you come into Tiger Stadium, you'll hear the fans yell Tiger Bait if you're a Florida Gator. With that in mind, there are some fans outside of Tiger Stadium that decided to cook up a little gator meat. And our Mike Rhodes is down there sampling the goodies.
Hoping that the LSU Tigers will learn several different ways to cook a gator. And right here, the Louisiana International Gator Festival, which is coming up on October 16th in Franklin. And we have some people from Franklin. And this is Lynn Simon from that group, and you've got some gator meatballs here.
We've got some gator meatballs right here that we just showed, you know, right on the outset, and we've got a couple other dishes here, Mike.
Tell us the other ways to cook a gator.
This is sauce piquant, just a regular old sauce piquant. If you were cooking a rabbit or squirrel, you do it with gator.
We could call this Charlie Pell stew tonight, right?
Okay, we can call that Charlie Pell stew, all right?
What is this?
And this is a sure enough Franklin jambalaya made by C.J. Alvarado here in Baton Rouge.
Tell us a little bit quickly about the festival now.
The festival is the 16th, 17th, 18th in Franklin, which is 2 weeks from right now. And we're going to have all kind of alligator and all kind of other good things. A regular festival, but we'll be featuring alligators.
How many ways can you cook a gator?
About as many ways as you could cook a chicken, a turtle, or anything else. Cabbage rolls. You can even put them and make them look like crawfish bisque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Lynn, that sounds exciting. We're going to have some of these gator meatballs in just a minute. And let's go back up to Bruce. Bruce, I'll bring you some in just a second.
Okay, Mike, you never did tell me if it was good or not. We'll find out later. Now, this afternoon, the Southern Jaguars went to Mississippi, and they took on Mississippi Valley. How about this? The Jags losers 21-16. It's not your typical loss. They lost it on the final play of the game, an 84-yard touchdown pass. No time on the clock. Eyewitness Sports will have the highlights for you at 10. Lots of college football on the scoreboard today, and we'll take a look at the complete college scoreboard after this.
If you bought a Canon AE1 yesterday, you probably paid too much, unless you shopped Ardan. If you bought a Pentax, Minolta, Olympus, a tripod, a lens, a bag, anything, you could have probably found it in our camera department for less. Ardan, across the board, the top of the line. Probably the lowest everyday prices around. Next time, don't forget, it probably costs less at Ardan.
You've read about it. After this, you've heard about it. The monitor. But until now, you've never had a better chance to own it. It's the RCA video disc player. The remarkable machine that plays records of movies, concerts, and more on your TV. And to help you be one of the first to own one, RCA is offering a $50 introductory bonus. Buy one now and you'll get $50 direct from RCA. But hurry, you may never have a better chance.
Buy your RCA disc player today and get 3 movies free, plus a $50 factory rebate at New Generation.
First one, we're back at Tiger Stadium, and of course a lot of college football on this big weekend. Now let's go to the scoreboard and see what we have today around the country. As we look at our college football scoreboard, there you see Florida and LSU to come up. Mississippi Valley over Southern 21-16. Tulane still hasn't won. Rice over them 20-16, and today in the Desperation Bowl. Continuing on the score, these are the Louisiana colleges. You'll see them tonight. We'll have highlights of the games and scores tonight at 10 o'clock on Eyewitness Sports. Continuing on the scoreboard, there on the Southeastern Conference, the Bears team is back. 38-7 Alabama over Ole Miss, and Clemson in a game seen on Channel 2, a 21-3 winner over Clemson. Now Vanderbilt in Miami tonight, Missouri, Mississippi State. We understand the final of 7-3. Mississippi State won that one. Nebraska winner over Auburn this afternoon, 17-3, the final there. Continuing in the East, Penn State over Temple, 30-0. It was Yale over Navy, 23-19. Boston College, West Virginia to play tonight. Elsewhere, Princeton defeated Brown 20-17. Colgate down Boston 21-14. And Columbia rolled over Penn by the final of 20-9. Elsewhere in the East, Holy Cross over Dartmouth 28-0. Army turned back Harvard 27-13. And it was Rutgers over Cornell by the final of 31-17. Moving out to the South, Pittsburgh leading South Carolina 42-21. That in the third. That game probably over. We'll have more on that later tonight. North Carolina defeated Georgia Tech by the final of 28-7. And Syracuse and Maryland played to a 17 all-time. North Carolina State eking it out over Virginia 30-24. Southern Mississippi, Texas Arlington, and Virginia Tech, Memphis State to play tonight. Elsewhere on the scoreboard, as we move ahead now, we're going to go to the Midwest for some more scores. There you see Illinois, the winner over Minnesota, 38-29. It was Kansas turning back Arkansas State, 17-16. And Miami of Ohio defeated Kent State 20-13. Florida State, a big winner today over 7th-ranked Ohio State, 36-27. Michigan rolling again, a Big Ten winner over Indiana, 38-17. And a great defensive struggle as Iowa turned back Northwestern, 64-0. Continuing on the scoreboard, Notre Dame defeated Michigan State 20-7. One of the upsets of the day, Wisconsin beat Purdue 20-14. Let's pick up the highlights and roll the videotape as we will go to the action in that ball game. This first period, Purdue quarterback Scott Campbell will go around his right side, in for the touchdown. Boilermakers lead it there 7-0. Now Wisconsin takes the lead on this plunge. David Nohop up the middle from 5 yards out. They lead at 10-7 at this point. The celebration continues in the third quarter. Wisconsin up 13-7. John Williams blasts over from 5 yards out. Wisconsin's rolling at 20-7. Purdue does come back out of the shotgun. Campbell will throw. Watch him go up top to David Ragaford, 69 yards, goes down the right sideline, too little, too late. Wisconsin upsets Purdue 20-14. Major League Baseball, and these were some, we'll continue on the scoreboard there. Iowa State, Oklahoma 7-all tie. Arkansas, TCU tonight. Houston defeated Baylor 24-3. Texas Tech, Texas A&M tonight. Tulsa over Kansas State 35-21, and Lamar over Stephen F. Houston 3-0. In the far west, USC in the third period leads Oregon State 49-20. BYU over Utah State 32-26. Arizona State, Washington to play later tonight. UCLA, Colorado, no score to report. Air Force beat Colorado State 28-14. Stanford, Arizona, no score yet posted. Now let's go to Major League Baseball. In the National League, Chicago Philly playing tonight. Montreal a winner over New York 5-4. The Expos have wrapped it up now. They are now in the divisional playoffs and will take on the Philadelphia Phillies in the mini playoffs next week. San Diego and San Francisco, that is a final of 3-2. St. Louis a winner today over Pittsburgh 8-3. Good news for Houston Astro fans. Atlanta beat Cincinnati 4-3. That meant the Houston Astros automatically qualified because Cincinnati's a loser and the magic number was 1. Houston, as you see, losing to Los Angeles 7-1. It doesn't matter. They are in the playoffs. Now to the American League. New York and Baltimore will play tonight. Boston a winner over Cleveland 4-0. And Milwaukee has earned themselves a playoff spot. A 2-1 winner over Detroit. The Brewers in the American League East will take on New York in the mini playoff series. Chicago a winner over Minnesota 5-4. Oakland and Kansas City will play tonight. And of course, Kansas City is in the playoffs, as are Oakland, and California and Texas will also play later tonight. And we'll have scores, of course, at 10 o'clock. So here back at Tiger Stadium, the excitement continues to mount. As you can tell, a few more fans have gotten in here. Mike Rhodes will be up shortly with some of that Gator meat, and hopefully the LSU Tigers will record a very, very big win tonight. I understand Mike Rhodes is back downstairs. And we'll go to Michael Marsh back in the studio. Michael will have highlights at 10 o'clock.
Okay, Bruce, apparently too many mics to mention there. Thanks a lot. Well, yesterday was Margaret Dyke's birthday. That in itself was no big news. But the way her neighbors in Shenandoah subdivision helped her celebrate her birthday is a pretty good story, as Debbie Auction reports.
For her birthday, Margaret Dyke's friends gave her a jazz funeral. Margaret has often told her friends that when she dies, she wants to be buried wearing her false eyelashes. So Jim and Linda Jones, who live down the street from Margaret, gave her a jazz funeral parade, complete with a band, a real casket, and false eyelashes. It was an impressive sight, especially when Margaret got a good look at the eyelashes inside of the casket.
Margaret has been known for real practical jokesters, like sending funeral wreaths for people's birthdays and so forth, and we decided she really deserves something a little more than that, so we arranged to get a casket and the mock band and so forth to go down the street.
What do you think of all this?
Whatever her one husband says, he just sits there. No, it's a good time. It's a way the Southern people show good hospitality.
Margaret says that after this birthday party, all her birthdays in the future are bound to be a letdown. But Jim and Linda Jones aren't making any bets on that. They figure that by the time Margaret's 40th birthday rolls around, they'll have had time to dream up some kind of really different birthday party. Debbie Auction, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
And finally tonight, some New Orleans area investors are talking about building a 1,200-foot-high tower as part of the World's Fair, and it would be the second tallest tower of its kind in the world. The tower would be about 148 feet taller than the Eiffel Tower in Paris and would cost about $20 million to build. It would be called the Skylon and would include radio and television transmitters up on top, an observation deck, and a restaurant in between. In order for the tower to be completed for the 1984 World's Fair, construction must be started by February of next year. That's Eyewitness News at 6. We'll be back at 10 o'clock for the night desk. Join us then.
Messages are public service announcements from Channel 2. The Foundation for Historical Louisiana is co-sponsoring the Baton Rouge 13th Annual Antique Show and Sale October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Belmont Hotel from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Proceeds from the admission fee will benefit the Foundation for its projects. For delicious sauce piquant that you'll really enjoy, attend the Raceland Sauce Piquant Festival October 3rd and 4th. A message from the Louisiana Office of Tourism. The Baton Rouge Kennel Club will hold its Fall Dog Show on Sunday, October 4th at the Riverside Centroplex Exhibition Hall. Show hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The public is invited to attend. The Franklin Arts Festival, sponsored by the Franklin Rotary Club, will be held Sunday, October 4th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. in Franklin City Park. Everyone is encouraged to attend.